I was in a rock band for 6 years. We started 10 years ago at Christchurch, New Zealand, where we all went to music school. We had some serious ups and some serious lows. The upsides included we opened for international bands INXS and Slash from Guns N' Roses. We got a chance to go into a studio 3 times and record 3 albums. We headlined local shows. We got government funding to financially help us. We got a record deal and a management deal, and we just had some amazing experiences that most musicians will never have. Although there was some downsides. We had band breakups. We had to fire people in the band. We had some really shabby sleeps in the car to try and save funds. We had some late nights practicing and rehearsing twice a week for 5 years straight. We gained momentum and we lost momentum. Eventually, we just couldn't make it. So let's go back to 2008, where it all started. Christchurch, New Zealand, where we met at a music school, where 4 of us would start playing outside of class time and write our own music. After building up our repertoire, we decided to link up with a local band. Although before our first show, we didn't have a band name. We had 24 hours to figure out a band name, and we came up with the name Voin Strum. The only reason we came up with this is if you hear some music in the encore section, when people say one more song, with thousands of people doing that, can sound like Voin Strum. We played about 30 minutes of music, and it was an amazing experience being on stage in front of people playing your own music for the first time. We entered the University Battle of the Bands, and we actually won it. From winning that competition, we had a few shows lined up. We got a few interviews on the radio with some radio airtime for some of our music.
You don't see them, you don't know them like I do.
Although we had nothing recorded. So it was up to us to save some money to go record our first album. After saving enough funds, we went and met with Rob Mays from Failsafe Records to record 4 songs.
Baby loves me alright. Baby don't know where I am tonight.
After gaining some traction in the Christchurch music scene, we were asked to headline the Chart Fest. We had an amazing turnout for that, and it was the first time we ever had full-on cheers, and we thought that this is pretty freaking cool. After the show, we had a guy come up to us and say, "Hey guys, I'm the head of Christchurch Music. I want to manage you and basically make my own record label so we can get you to become the next biggest band in New Zealand." We continued playing around locally, and we finally decided to record our first official EP.
Well, you know it's going down. It's undeniable.
We went to a Christchurch studio for 3 days called Quicksand Studios. We hired a sound engineer from Auckland, a guy named Andrew Buckton, to come down and help produce this music and this album. Our first single was Shiver Roses. Once we released this, it started getting really cool. Shiver Roses got some good airtime on New Zealand's main radio rock stations, and we got the chance to open for the first international act, INXS. This was an amazing experience. We played in front of 12,000 people. This concert was at Seddon Park in Hamilton, where we flew up one morning, We had sound check and we knew it was going to be a massive crowd. They had gone through some stuff in the past with a lot of the lead singer, Michael Hitchens, originally committing suicide and then going through the TV show Rockstar INXS to try and find their own new singer. Unfortunately, that singer wasn't to last either. So they got this Irish guy, a guy called Kieran, who was the first one to greet us after the show. He shared us an amazing story. He was at a house party and he was just throwing an acoustic guitar around and played an INXS song. Funny enough, in that same party was a guy in the INXS management team. He tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Come back to Sydney, Australia, because I think the band's going to really like your voice." And funny enough, he got the nod to be the next lead singer. Then we got government funding to do a new music video for our next single, Power and Phil. Once that song got some serious radio time, we got asked to play for Slash, the lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses. He came through Christchurch with his music act, with Miles Kennedy being the vocalist. It was an amazing show. There was about 4,000 people there. And before we came out, we had our local crowd chanting our own name, Voin Strum, as the lights came on and the music went off. To me, playing the first lead line. One of those amazing experiences I will never forget, to hear the fallbacks and the sound of that come straight back into my face, to then the drums coming and the lights booming, and it was on. It was just the most amazing experience, and it's given me some goosebumps thinking about it now. After we played our 30-minute set, we got to a situation where it was like, is Slash going to come in and meet us? We were told by the event organizer, he'll come in if he wants to, but don't bug him. Unfortunately, he didn't, but it didn't worry us. We had an amazing experience, and it was on to the next thing. Now, one of the hardest things I did in this band was firing the bass player. It was a really tough time for us, as most of you probably have experienced a breakup. This was like a breakup from a mate's point of view. He was a little bit different from musical direction compared to us, and we basically realized that we wanted to continue this journey without him. After we got rid of him, our 5-piece band now turned into a 4-piece band. Now, after all this success, we decided to record a new album. This was a really special time because it was us staying on site. We had access to everything we wanted to. We could go all day, all night. As we did with the previous record, we decided to do all the drum tracks first, all 5 songs. After the drums were done, then it was the bassist's job to put all his tracks down. After a day and a half, we had another day and a half to record the guitar tracks and the vocal tracks. Now, a huge reason why we could go do this record was that the government gave us some money to be able to write a new single and be able to make a music video with it. The deal was, though, that this song was a single and it was for radio. Now, this was huge because our manager at the time, who we trusted and believed in, strongly recommended that we change the song's format to suit radio more. Now, this song, a song called Take Me Home, was probably our first song we ever wrote, and it was probably the most special to us, and we just thought it was probably the best song we wrote as well. After we agreed that we changed the chorus, we decided to record it with the new chorus. Now, with the music video of the song, we had a guy come down from the UK who was actually Kiwi, and he was like, "Boys, I want to make this song massive." He wanted to do this by creating a pretty heavy music video, which basically involved the lead singer's girlfriend getting kidnapped. Once the song was released and once the music video was released together, it was fair to say that this whole song flopped. Once this album was kind of in the pipeline to be released, Curdy unfortunately had some health issues. He had to pull out of the band. We thought temporary, but it ended up being a long-term thing. Now, Curdy, being one of the most talented people I know, was just dealing with some hard times, and it was tough for us because we had all this momentum, and in a way it was challenging for us to try and keep this momentum with a main member of the band not being able to partake anymore. So as a result, we got another bass player in, a guy called Dan, who was an amazing bassist. He helped us continue on our journey to try and make this thing happen. The next hurdle came when Jonty, the drummer, decided that it just wasn't the same anymore. And I see his point, and fair enough, he decided to quit. So it was Matty, myself, were the OGs of the band, and we had a new bass player, and we were drumless. We auditioned for a new drummer, and we got this guy called H, who was a fantastic drummer and a fantastic singer. We were a new 4-piece band with an album still in the pipeline that hadn't released. With all this happening, unfortunately our manager said, "Boys, I can't do this anymore." Now, special thanks to our manager, Marc Royal. He was the one that actually made these things happen. And at the time, we took someone like this for granted. But now looking back, it's a big thanks to Marc for helping us out to get to where we were. So now a 4-piece band, a new bassist, a new drummer, no manager, and we still had this album to be released. After doing some gigs, we saved enough money to be able to release this album. The album was called Shadow Hides a Face, and it's available on Spotify and iTunes. Now, it holds a very special part of me because some of those songs are very sentimental, and it brings me back to the amazing days where we were a 5-piece band doing some pretty awesome stuff when we were writing this music. Now, the momentum of this album didn't really go very far. We had some people like some music, some local fans, although we didn't get the traction as our first record did. So we continued to gig, but it just wasn't going anywhere. So after all the hard times and all the good times, it was just time to quit. It was just time for this band to fold. 6 years of a serious journey, from the ups and downs to the highs to the serious lows. We all individually went through a lot. I just want to mention a few learnings of this whole experience. The first being that we took it for granted. It was pretty amazing spending time in a studio and opening for those international acts. Secondly, it's hard being in a band, and I think as I've moved away from that band, I realized the admin and the time and the energy it took. And it's quite tough to know that if I want to do this well again, I have to go through that whole process. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you tuning in for the whole story. Please check Voin Strum's music out on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes, and I'll be seeing you soon.